Welcome to PlanHub's Masterclass courses for takeoff and estimation. My name is Greg. In this video, you'll learn how to use PlanHub's takeoff and estimation tools to complete an estimate for the roofing trade for a flat roof commercial building as well as a sloped residential roof. Knowing how to set yourself up for successful takeoffs and estimates will save you time and money so you can bid more projects and grow your company. For a full takeoff and estimate, your first step is to obtain any pertinent details. For this training, I found a project, reviewed the plans, and sent them into TakeOff using the file viewer. Please watch the TakeOff Getting Started videos if you'd like to learn more about these processes. Here in my measuring window, the first thing I'm going to do before I take any measurements is expand this to full screen. I'm going to go to the toolbar on the upper right and click the Enter Full Screen Mode button. Now I'll just reposition the plan in the screen so that I can see everything that we need to measure on. You could also collapse the panels on left and right. I have already set the scale on the page, so I am ready to begin taking measurements. I'm going to go and launch the slope tool by clicking slope on the toolbar. This roof has a sloped pitch of 1/4 inch equals 1 foot, so I click in the slope factor box, scroll all the way to the top, and choose 0.25 over 12 or 1/4 of an inch over 12. Next, I'm going to give this measurement a name. This measurement is going to be TPO roof area. Next, I'm going to choose what mode I'd like to use the measurement in. I do have an L-shaped roof, so I'm going to choose multi-point in this case so I can trace around any shape I like. Then click Set. I get a crosshair for my cursor and I'm ready to start measuring. I'm going to begin first in the upper left corner of the raised area. Here I need the flat roofed area square footage for TPO membrane. There we go. I also need to continue that measurement into other areas of the roof, so I'm going to right click on it and choose continue measuring. My crosshair returns, so I'm ready to start measuring again. Left click to begin. Then I left click at every point I need to turn a corner. This is exactly what I did in the previous section as well. And on the final point, since this is a measurement that changes direction, you do need a double click to place that final point. Next, I'm going to be measuring this little overhang in the rear of the building. We're already in continue mode, so the tool stays active. All I need to do is perform the measurement, double click at the final point. I can also exit the continue mode by going down to the toolbar, and the control for this particular measurement tool is above the toolbar now. So I can click the plus sign there to stop measuring. Next, we need the running linear feet of all of our parapet walls. We need that for two reasons. First, we're going to charge for the coping that sits on top to cap off the wall. And we also need to charge for the amount of TPO that is going to go up the wall and lap over the top. According to the plans, this parapet wall is 42 inches tall with a 1 foot overlap. So to obtain my running linear feet measurement, I'm going to go to the toolbar and launch the linear tool. I want to use it in line mode. This is going to be parapet wall. I want to pick a color that stands out from what I've already used. Since we already have something in the purple family, I'm going to choose a green for this. There we go. After I click set, I'm ready to start measuring my running linear feet of parapet wall. So I click to get started, any point I'd like to, and I'm simply going to trace this outline all the way around, left clicking everywhere I need to change direction. When I do reach the final point, that is going to be another double click. I do need to continue this as well, so I'm going to go to the measurement result on the right side, right click and choose continue measuring. Now I'm going to measure the parapet wall around this raised section in the upper left corner of the plan page, and there'll be one more section after this. We've got the overhang at the rear of the building again that we need to accommodate for. I am still in continue mode, so I'm simply going to center the region of interest in the screen and then left click to begin measuring this parapet wall as well. Alright, I've taken two different measurements. We have the square footage area to be covered by TPO roofing, and we also have the length of the parapet wall. Now we'll be able to build assemblies to accommodate for these measurements that will allow for us to charge for multiple things at the same time based on the same measurement result. To get going there, I need to exit full screen mode so that I can go over to my estimation tool to create our assembly. So I'm going to go to the toolbar and click that Exit Full Screen button. Next, I'm going to click over to the Assemblies tab. I do have several assemblies already created for other projects, but for this one, I do need to make a custom assembly that's going to receive the TPO measurement from the area, as well as accommodating for the length and height of the parapet wall and its lap over at the top. I'm going to create a new assembly. You do have a database of cost items on the left side of this page that you could use. If you have some customized and saved, you can even narrow by owner your company, and you'll see your customized list of cost items here. I'm going to create blank cost items as we go and customize them for our use in this assembly. First, I'm going to give this assembly a name. So this is going to be TPO Roof Complete. The measurement type we'll get our results from is the slope tool. I'm not going to address item type here. I'm going to address that on the cost item level. So next, I'm going to click the Add New Cost Item button. This is going to be the 60 mil If you wanted to use the description to add additional details, you're welcome to. These fields are available to use. If you want to increase the number or the amount of product that it will call for by a certain percentage to accommodate for waste cuts and things of that nature, you absolutely can by putting a percentage here in the box. We purchased the TPO membrane in a roll that covers about 1,000 square feet. So that's going to be our launching point or our guidelines here. That roll costs about $1,100, so I'm going to place $1,100 here in our unit cost box. Item type will set here at the cost item level as a material. Our unit of measure is going to be the roll. So I type RN and choose rolls off of the menu. Now I save that. We're taking in a square foot area measurement into this line item, but we need the number of rolls to be our output. Your unit of measure on your cost item is your desired output. In order to accomplish that conversion, we're going to create a formula. So I'm going to click the F of X button. Next, I'll give this formula a name. TPO membrane with parapet walls. So to create this formula to accommodate for all the TPO and return the amount of rolls that are required to purchase for the project, then I'm going to start with the area, but I am going to put it in a parenthesis to help me keep my segments of this formula separated from one another to be sure that I'm accommodating for everything that I need to. First, I'm going to click the area variable, which this is the area result we receive from the measurement, but I need to add to that the amount of TPO required for the parapet wall. Next, I'm going to close that parentheses, and next we will add the next function that will accommodate for the length and width of the amount of TPO on the parapet wall. So here I'm going to put in length times height so that we can get the actual area of that space. So I close parentheses that. Let's add another parentheses in overall so that we can convert that entire calculation we did before to rolls by dividing the amount by 1,000, because that's how many square feet there are in a single roll. I do want to round up because I do not have the ability to buy a partial roll, and I also want to save this formula and apply it to this cost item. Next, we want to accommodate for anything else that's based off of the square foot measurement that the TPO is covering. For instance, we have TPO bonding adhesive, so our next cost item I'm going to create is going to account for that. I click the Add New Cost Item button, place a name in the box, bonding adhesive in this case. I'm going to move across. I do need to apply a unit cost. This is going to be $200 per gallon. So our item type is going to remain material. Our unit of measure here is going to be gallons. So I type GN and select gallon from the list. Save the progress. Click F of X. Every time you create a formula here in our system, it does save for any future use. So now if I scroll down, every gallon of adhesives covers 70 square feet, and I actually have a conversion factor saved as a formula right here. It's area divided by 70, which is exactly what we need for this equation, because we're going to take the roof area 1 gallon covers 70 square feet, so we're going to divide that entire area by 70, round up the result so it tells us a discrete number of gallons of adhesive to purchase. Now that I've applied that to the cost item, we can continue adding other cost items. The next one is going to be mechanical fasteners. When I click Add New Cost Item, and we'll put that name right here in the name field. Mechanical fasteners are sold in a box of 1,000 for $179, so I'm going to put $179 in our unit cost. And in our unit of measure, I'm going to type B and choose boxes from the list. Save the progress, and next we'll add our formula N. The formula we're going to need to accommodate for the mechanical fasteners needs to account for the area of the roof and divide by 4 because you need a fastener every 4 square feet. So I'm going to take the total area, divide that by 4, and then divide that result by 1,000 so I know how many boxes of fasteners to purchase. Right here, I'm going to click the area. Next, I'm going to divide that by 4. Next, I'm going to divide that by 1,000. So we'll know how many boxes to purchase. I'm going to round up that result, and I'm going to give it a name. So this is going to be area divided by 4 divided by 1,000. Next, I click Save and apply that formula to this cost item. The amount of insulation backer board is also based on the square foot area measurement of the roof itself. We can add that in here as well. I'm going to add a new cost item and give it a name. The unit cost, these items are sold by the 4 foot by 8 foot sheet at $24.70 a piece. So this is going to be $24.70 in our unit cost field. The unit of measure here is going to be each because we do purchase one sheet at a time. I'm going to select each from the menu, click Save, and now we need to create a formula that's going to accommodate for our insulation backer board. We're going to take our area and divide by 32 square feet because that's how much each backer board covers. I actually have already created a formula that does that. I have area divided by 32 right here. So I'm going to use my plus sign. Next, apply to cost item. That is the last item we need to charge for based off of the square foot measurement. So I'm going to save the changes in the bottom right corner, and that's going to make this assembly available in TakeOff to use. When I click back over to my project, I'm going to identify the TPO roof that has the entire roof area measured. I'm going to right click and choose to send that to an assembly. Here at the bottom of the list we have our TPO roof complete. I click that to choose it, and next I need to tell it what page of the estimate I'd like it to go to. So I'm going to choose Project Estimate 1. Then I click Add. This box has a lot going on. The majority of the items that we have entered do not have open variables, so we don't need to be concerned with those at all. However, the top one is for the TPO membrane. That one we need to give it some additional details. If you'll remember, we need to tell it the length and the height of the parapet wall so it can calculate the grand total of the amount of TPO material. The length of the measurement itself is coming directly from the TPO 175 linear feet that we measured for the parapet walls, so I will place 175 in this box. For the height, we know that it was 42 inches tall, but we need to add a foot on for the lap over, so that actually brings it to 54 inches, and that is about a half foot shy of 5 feet. So we're going to round up in this area, and we're going to tell it to factor in 5 feet of lap over material. So that's 175 feet long by 5 feet that goes up the side and laps over the top. Next, we'll insert these values. I'm going to migrate over to the estimate section by clicking the Project Estimate tab, and we'll be able to see the result of our work. The top entry is green, so we know that green color items only come from assemblies. There's also an Insert Values button if you needed to address any of the values that you did at the time that you told the assembly to come across. You can click the Insert Values and you can alter these quantities at this point. There is also an expansion arrow on the right side of any assembly entry. If you click that, it will open up and show you the items that were built in underneath it that charge you by using the assembly. By the way, we've already built this assembly out, so we can use that assembly on any project in the future. We never have to build it again. If you ever needed to adjust that assembly, say your pricing changes on the materials that you've programmed into it, you can always migrate over to the Assemblies area by clicking the Assemblies tab at the top. Here, you can choose the one that you would like to edit, click the pencil on that item, and it will open up to the assembly, edit, or creation area. You can edit any of the details now on any of these line items. For example, I noticed I did not include the materials as item types for the bottom two items, so I can do that now. After I save this, anytime I use it in the future, these changes will show. We have one final item here in our estimate that we need to accommodate for, and that is the parapet coping that we need to cap off that parapet wall. And we know that our running linear feet is 175. And I also know from pricing online that the parapet coping is going to cost us about $11 per linear foot in order to charge for that one item, since there are no other items based on that measurement. I'm going to right click and choose to add it directly to the estimate. Tell it what page I'd like it to fall into. We only have a single project for this one. So then I click add. Next, let's click over to the estimates. Any cost items you send over in this method will show up as a blue line item, and all of their fields are editable except the quantity. Since we sent this over as a measurement result, it is bringing that quantity with it. And that's fine because this is exactly what we need, but we do need to add an item cost. So I'm going to go over and click the pencil to edit this. At $11 per linear foot, I'm going to put that right here in my unit cost box. Then I click save. It is going to reconcile that math at 175 linear feet at $11 per linear foot. That comes to $1,925 for the coping and its attaching bracket. We have one more item that we have not yet charged for, and that is the labor associated with installing this TPO system. Some contractors like the idea of including the labor charge in with the assembly that charges for the TPO materials. Others have voiced that they prefer to actually charge with an independent line item. Either way, you can still use an assembly and a formula. To get started, I navigate back over to the assembly area, and we're going to create another new assembly. This assembly is going to be for TPO labor. It will be bounced on the slope tool, measurement results. The only cost item here is going to be our labor charge. The unit cost on the labor is going to be by the square foot at $3.50 per square foot. This item type for this line item is going to be labor. The unit of measure is going to be the square foot. We do have to still put a formula on the back side of this. It's going to be the direct square foot area measured from the slope tool. So all we really need is an area here at the bottom. I have an area alone formula, so I click the plus button to add that over. Then we apply to the cost item. Next, we'll save the cost item. In order to use the new labor charge, I'm going to navigate back over to the TakeOff, and our TPO roof area, I'm going to right click and send that to a new assembly. This time it's going to be the TPO labor. I'll put it in the TPO roof page and click add. I'm going to accept the measured result and click insert values. Now back over to our estimate. Up top we have the assembly and the cost item that we had already had in the estimate, and below that we have the new assembly. If I open up, you'll see that it contains the single cost item for the labor at 859 square feet for $3.50 per. That gives a grand total of $3,006.50 for labor for this particular roof installation. That does complete the estimate for a flat commercial membrane type roof system. Please stay tuned if you would like to see these principles applied to a sloped residential roof that utilizes an asphalt system. Next, we're going to be estimating the construction materials and costs for a residential sloped roof. This particular roof has many hips and valleys, lots of things going on, but fortunately our slope area tool does accommodate for the entire area roof structure if we measure it at one single time, or if we measure every little component of the roof and add them up later. So there's no reason to measure in broken sections. We can measure every section that has the same slope together. In that case, this is the entire roof we're looking at, so we'll be able to measure the entire perimeter of this roof to obtain its area using the slope tool. The slope on this particular plan, it calls for 1212, so I click in the slope factor box and choose 1212 from the list. I also chose the multi-point measurement because this is a polygon that I will need to outline. The name of itself is going to be main roof area. The colors look great. I can see those easily on the page, so then I click set to get started. We can pick any corner of the plan you would like to begin because we are going to outline the entire surface of this roof. So I click once to get started, and just like any of our multi-point tools, I'm going to click at every corner that I need to change direction all the way around this plan page. Now we're approaching the end of our measurement, so I'm going to set this corner just a couple more clicks. I'm going to zoom out to ensure this is setting our final point, and if so, I'm going to double click there to commit that point. Now our measurements panel on the right, we've got our roof area at 12,965.97 or 12,966 square feet for that roof. Next we need the total perimeter of the exterior of the roof for all of our drip edges. After that, we will be obtaining a linear foot measurement for all of our valleys and our ridge lines so that we can accommodate for our valley flashing and for our ridge cap shingles. First, I'm going to measure the entire outer perimeter of the roof. I'm going to go down to my linear tool, select line, and I'll begin taking my measurements. Click one time, click at every corner until I have the entire roof outlined. Alright, just at the final point for the perimeter measurement around this roof. That comes in at 611.69 linear feet. Next, we need the total number of linear feet for all of our valleys for valley flashing. So I'm going to begin that measurement now. Let's go down to the bottom and start a new linear measurement. This one is going to be named valleys. So everywhere I see a line labeled as a valley, I'm going to take that measurement. Now we'll skip ahead and rejoin whenever I have all of these valleys measured. Just at the final point on my last valley measurement, we have a grand total of 366.93 linear feet of valleys. Next, I'm going to perform the exact same task to accommodate for our ridge caps. So I'm going to go down to the bottom, stop measuring with the current continued valley measurement, and begin a new linear measurement. Start right here on the left bottom of this plan page, zoom in to make sure I can center my measurement, and we'll begin measuring all of the ridges one at a time until we have a grand total, and I will jump forward until we have all of them measured. Now that we've acquired all the measurements we need, it's time to start monetizing those measurements and building out our estimate. I'm going to click over to the estimate section, and we already have one page that was for our TPO calculations from our flat roof commercial building. So I'm going to change the name of that to our TPO roof. Then I'm going to add a new page of the estimate that will be our asphalt roof. Before we get started, just like the TPO roof, we do need to create an assembly or two to help take in these measurements and apply them to the charges we need them to. So the first step is going to be to navigate over to the Assemblies area by clicking the Assemblies tab at the top. From here, we will create a new assembly. This one's going to be asphalt shingle roof. Going to be using the slope tool to get the measurement results from, and then I'll begin adding cost items. First one we have to account for is our asphalt shingles. The unit cost on our shingles is $35 per bundle. So we'll put 35 into our unit cost box. We'll set our item type to material. Unit of measure is going to be the bundle. So I'm going to type B in and select bundles from the list. Next we'll apply a formula so that we can convert from our measured area over to the number of bundles of shingles that we need. So I click F of X so I can begin creating my formula for this. Here in the box we're going to be placing our area variable. This is the result from our measurement. Next we need to divide by the amount of territory that a single bundle of shingles covers, which is 33 square feet. So I'm going to divide the area by 33 so that our result will equal the number of bundles of shingles we need for whatever measured territory we send through this assembly. I also want to round up this result because I do not want to receive partial bundles. I'm going to save this formula and apply it to this cost item. Next we'll continue on. The next cost item we need to accommodate for is going to be the synthetic underlayment. I'm going to add a new cost item. The underlayment comes in rolls that cover 1,000 square feet at $104 per roll. So our unit cost here is going to be $104. This is also accounting for materials. Unit of measure is going to be rolls, so I type RN and choose rolls. Our formula for this particular one is going to be the measured area divided by 1,000, because every roll covers 1,000 square feet. I know that we already have an area divided by 1,000 formula, so I'm going to scroll down until I see it on the list. If I didn't see it, I could always search it. Right here toward the bottom of this list is area divided by 1,000. So I'm going to click the plus button to add that over here and apply it to the cost item. So now that we have our two products that are going to be based on the square foot area that we measured, accounted for in our assembly, we're going to save the changes now, so this will be available to use over in our TakeOff solution. We're not finished yet. We have two other assemblies that I want to go ahead and build out now so that we have them ready when we need to use them. We're going to build a single assembly that will accommodate for both the ice and water shield as well as the drip edge. Just like I did before, I'm going to click Create Assembly to get started. This one's going to be ice / water and drip edge. Linear results will be what we take into this particular assembly, so I do set it measure and type linear. Next I'm going to add my cost items in. The first one's going to be the ice and water shield. I'm going to scroll over. The ice and water shield comes in at $100 per roll. That roll does cover 67 linear feet, so after I address the other items here I would like to, such as typing in R here on the unit of measure and selecting rolls. Next we need to create a formula that's going to accommodate for the conversion of the measured linear feet distance to rolls of material. So I'm going to click the F of X button to get started. Next I'm going to give the formula a name. This is going to be the linear result divided by 67, because every roll is 67 feet long. Here I'm going to click the length variable to put that in the box, and I'm going to divide that by the number 67. Round up the result, so we'll only be told to charge for or purchase single complete rolls. Save that formula and apply it to this cost item. Next we have one additional item that we can charge for based on the exact same linear result, and that's going to be for the drip edge. So add a new cost item. Here we're going to call this drip edge. I'm going to scroll across. The drip edge comes in 10-foot pieces that are $70 per piece. The item type is a material. The unit of measure is each. So I type in E, choose each from the menu. I'll save that cost item and click the F of X button so I can put a formula on to make the conversion for me. Here in the name box, I'm going to type linear and divide symbol by 10. That is the exact same form I'm going to put here in the actual formula bar. So I'm going to go down and choose the length result. Divide that by the number 10. Round up the result. Save and apply. Every time we receive a linear result in, it's going to take that quantity, divide it by 10, and tell us the discrete number of 10-foot pieces we need to purchase at $70 per piece. Next, I save changes in the bottom right-hand corner. You can use assemblies even if you only have a single item to charge for. The next two items are going to be items that need an assembly built for them because we want to use a formula to convert their units. And the only place we can do that is within an assembly. So here I'm going to create the third assembly for this project. This particular one is going to be for ridge cap shingles. This assembly will be based off of linear measurement results. And let's add the new cost item. This is going to be asphalt shingles at $35 per bundle for materials, and we are going to charge by the bundle. Next, we need to convert from the measured length to tell us how many bundles of shingles we need to purchase for all of our ridges. Now that we've added the item in, let's click F of X, and then we can add the formula to accommodate for the conversion that we need for the ridge caps. I'm going to give this a name. Next, we'll drop down to the formula bar. Here I will add in, let's start with a couple of parentheses. I know I'm going to have to break this out into segments, and immediately we're going to bring in our length. And we're going to multiply that times 12 because we need to convert from feet to inches, and that's the step that will do that for us. Next, we will divide what we've done so far by 15 to give us the number of shingles that we need to purchase. But we don't purchase shingles by the eaches, of course, we purchase them by the bundle. So I'm going to add another parentheses in here, and we will divide by 17 because on average there are 17 shingles per bundle on average. Next, we're going to round up the result, save the progress, and apply that formula to the cost item. So we're going to save this change, and ridge cap shingles will now be an assembly that will be available in TakeOff for us. We have one more to go before we're ready to start estimating this particular job. The next one is going to be for valley flashing. This is also based off of linear results. And we're going to add the new cost item in here. Call it valley flashing. I'm going to move across and address all the fields that I would like. The valley flashing does come in a roll of 50 feet length for $165. So here I'm going to put in the 165 into our unit cost. Item type is material. Unit of measure is the roll. We're going to save that progress, and next we'll need to put the formula on to convert it for us. This is for valley metal, or valley flashing rather. The conversion we're going to perform is going to be simply the length divided by 50. So we can calculate the number of rolls we need to purchase of the valley tin. We'll round up the result, we will save, and apply that to the cost item. The Save Changes button at the bottom right, of course, executes all of that we've done to create that assembly, and it makes it available in TakeOff to utilize. Now that we've created the assemblies we need to accommodate for all the materials that we need to charge for, I'm going to pop back over to our TakeOff page by clicking the name of the project. To utilize this, I'm going to right click on the result I'd like to send through the assembly, and then choose option number 2 on the list by clicking Send to Assembly. Here I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom and choose my asphalt shingle roof. I will tell it to fall into the asphalt page of the estimate that we created. Click Add. Here I'm just going to simply accept what results were measured and click Insert Values. That's not all we need to do. We also have the roof perimeter measurement. I'm going to right click and send that to an assembly as well. First, all the way at the bottom, this particular one is the roof perimeter, so that's going to cover the ice, water, and drip edge. I'm going to place it in the asphalt page, and accept the measured values by clicking Insert. Now we have the valley measurement. I'm going to right click on that, also send to an assembly. Going to scroll down and select the valley flashing assembly and put it into the asphalt page as well. Accept the values that are there by clicking Insert. The last item we need to send across is the ridges. Right click, send to assembly. This time we're going to choose the ridge cap shingles. We'll drop it into the asphalt page again by clicking the Add and Insert Values. Alright, let's pop over by clicking the Estimate page. And here in the asphalt estimate now, we have 4 entries because we sent 4 measurement results into 4 different assemblies. The last item we need to account for in our estimate for asphalt shingles is going to be the labor for the installation. Similar to what we did for our commercial flat roof, we're also going to build an assembly out that will convert the square foot that we measured, in this case, to roofing squares, because we have a per square labor charge that we need to apply. To get started, we're going to click Assemblies and then Create New Assembly. We're going to give this assembly a name, Asphalt Roof Labor. Measurement type will be the slope tool, and we'll add the cost item. This is going to be $300 per square. For labor, our unit of measure is squares. This is going to be a fairly simple formula to define. It's going to be converting square feet to squares. In order to do that, we're going to take the area measurement from the slope tool, going to divide it by 100, and that's it. We'll save, apply to cost item, and save the changes. Next, back over in our takeoff page, we'll grab that main roof area measurement, right click and send through an assembly. This time at the bottom we have our asphalt roof labor. We'll drop it into the asphalt estimate page and migrate over so we can see the result. Now in the asphalt estimate we have 5 assembly entries. If you'd like to see the contents underneath each one of the assemblies, you can click the expansion arrow on the right side. Take the top one, the main roof area for instance. We have the asphalt shingles and the synthetic underlayment. Both are being converted to the correct quantities to match their units of measure. Same goes for the ice and water shield as well as the drip edge, the valley tin, the ridge shingles, and as we just went over, the labor at the bottom. So now that you understand how to collect your takeoff measurements, use those measurements to create your estimate, we hope you'll move forward and perform takeoffs and create your own estimates. If at any point in the process you require assistance, your account manager will be happy to help however they can, or if you'd like additional one-on-one training, they can assist you with scheduling that as well.